In this lesson, we'll use one polygon object to cut its shape out of another polygon object. Alright, so continuing on with our little set of examples here, this one you can see that we have the same basic shape that we had in the last one, but we have a circle that's cut out of the center on this one. Alright, so we'll start this off by just grabbing this polygon right here, and we'll go to Edit Mesh, and we're going to extrude that, and I'm going to hit the W key to get to the Move tool, and I'm going to get this moving up in this direction. Now for this one, I think I'll hold down the V key and I'll snap to that point right there so we can get the same height that we have on that one. Then I'll go over here and I'll hit the R key so I can scale that, and we can get a rough approximation of what that object looks like. Alright, so now what I'm going to do is I'm going to grab a polygon cylinder and we'll pull it over here. And the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to change the subdivisions in the axis from 20 down to 8. Now 8 is kind of a magic number for us, and there's a lot of things that we can do by keeping this number of 8 in an object like this that we're using. So before I start off, let's go ahead and pull this over and we'll snap that to the grid like that, and we'll go ahead and scale that up roughly to the size of that hole right there. So there's a couple things that you need to understand here. One, we are going to be doing a Boolean on this object right here, and you'll hear everybody talk about how bad Booleans are and you shouldn't use them. And I'm here to tell you that you can use them as long as you understand how to fix the geometry. They can be indispensable in our modeling toolbox as far as getting shapes like this cut out, and there's quite a few really good uses for them. But again, you have to know how to control these objects. Alright, let's delete that face down there because we don't need it. And just so we can see what happens here, I'm going to go ahead and grab my object, and then I'm going to shift select the object that I want to cut out of it. Then I'm going to go to Mesh, Booleans, and I'm going to do a difference. So the first thing you'll notice is that it got rid of all the geometry down here. I would expect to still see that down there. And two, you can see that it did this weird connection for us right here. So addressing these first, what's actually going on here is we had one big face, and we're trying to Boolean a fairly complex shape out of that one single face. And Maya doesn't know what to do with that because, again, it is just one face. So it is going in and it's giving us a couple splits right here. Now we have one face here and we have one face here. So it's not just one big face through there. But it's a little arbitrary the way that this is being connected. So a much better way of doing this would be just to help Maya out beforehand, before we do this. We know that we want it centered on this cube right here, and so what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and give it a split this direction and a split that direction. But I do want those splits to be perfectly halfway on this edge and perfectly halfway on this edge right here as well. So here's a great little keyboard shortcut for you that'll do this. We're going to grab one edge that is going against the direction that we want to go, and we're going to hold down the Control key, and I'm going to right click. I'm going to go to Edge Ring Utilities down here, and that's going to bring up another marking menu. I'm going to go to Edge Ring and Split. Okay, so once again, that's Control right click, Edge Ring Utilities, to Edge Ring and Split. And it split that perfectly in half for us. Now all we have to do is select this edge and hit the G key, and it'll give us another one. So now this is perfectly centered on there, and we can actually use that information to center this if we want to. So I'll get this moving in that direction. I'll hold down V, I'll middle mouse drag right there. I'll get it moving this direction, hold down V and middle mouse drag right there. And now it's perfectly centered in that space. Alright, let's go ahead and grab this object. We'll grab our cutting object, Mesh, Booleans, Difference. So you can see we get a really good clean configuration of edges running into that now. But we do still have this open hole right here, so not quite what we expected to happen. I'm going to go ahead and hit Control A so I can go to my attribute editor. And I'm going to go into the Boolean node, and we're going to look at this right here, intersection classification. Now we have normal and we have edge. So if we change this to edge, you can see that it gave us all of that information back. So just two very different methods of doing it, and it just depends on what you need as your end result. Normal is just going to cut the shape out of this plane, where edge is going to leave that information back. Now, it wouldn't be too tough to recreate this either way. If we had it on edge, we could just delete all these faces. If we had it over on normal, we could just grab this and extrude it down and in. But it's good to know that that option is there if you actually need it. All right, now, if you look at our object, you can see that it's a nice smooth edge right here, but we need to hold all of these edges right here. So we know that we're going to have three edges coming up here, but we can't have those three edges go into here, or it's going to add too much tension on that surface right there, and we're going to get a little bit of a pucker. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and go to Mesh Tools and grab my Multi-Cut tool, and there we go. We'll hit Enter. We'll go from there to there. Mine is just not wanting to grab these. Okay, we'll go back there again. There, got it that time. And finally down here, we can go from that point to that point. So that takes care of the big n-gons that we have here. And now what we need to do is we need to go in and get all of our bevels going. Now for the time being, I'm going to go ahead and grab these and I'm going to pull them up. I'll just snap them to these ones on the bottom. So now we have the depth that we want in there. Alright, we do have all of these triangles in there, but we'll fix those in a little bit. For now, let's go ahead and just get our bevels going. Now, we do have this edge right here, and we know that we need a bevel right here, here, and here. But we don't want that bevel to continue into here. And in the previous lesson, we talked about kind of containing all of those areas and not pushing those weird areas right on the edge where we have a big bevel. So we're going to need something to contain all this information. I'm going to go ahead and grab my Insert Edge Loop tool again, and I'm going to place one there and one there, just kind of dividing this in thirds as it goes around. Alright, now let's grab those edges, and these are the edges that we want to bevel. So we're going one past where the actual bevel is right there, like that. Alright, let's go ahead and bevel those inside ones. So we now have all of the edges that we want to hold. We'll go ahead and go to Edit Mesh, and we'll do our bevel. Let's go up here, and for the segments we'll do 2, and for the fraction maybe we'll do 0.2. And there you go, we've got a nice bevel on there. Of course, when I hit the 3 key, we're going to have all these extra edges, or these extra faces on our corners, and those are the ones that Maya creates on those open edges when we did the bevel. But we can just delete those, and now this is what we're left with. So we've got a big n-gon here, we've got an n-gon right here, we have a couple triangles in this area right there. So what I'm going to do for this one is I'm going to go ahead and grab my multi-cut tool again. And instead of this going off right there, we're going to bring it all the way out to there and all the way back there. And we're going to hit Enter. And then we're going to grab a couple of faces here, or excuse me, a couple of edges. We're going to grab those two, and I'm going to hit Delete. Now we have two triangles side by side here, so I can simply just grab one of those, and I will delete it. And you see that that gives us a quad right here. I've got 1, 2, 3, and 4. Okay, let's do that again over here. Go ahead and grab our multi-cut tool. put those in. Now we can grab those two edges and delete them, and then our center one and delete it, and we fixed that as well. So what we've done is we've kind of taken this transition and putting it in this inside area, and we've kept it away from all of these bevels. We kept nice quads running all the way through. We have one line that's running all the way through there, and so we've kind of weeded this down to one line. And if I go ahead and hit the 3 key on that, you see it does a really nice job. We held this bevel very nicely, and over here we're keeping this round shape. And you can see it's a nice clean piece of geometry through there. Alright, so there's a look at how we can use one polygon object to cut a shape out of a different polygon object. And we also learned just this number 8, how important it is that in a case like this, we've got an edge running here and here. And if we make this 8, we can run the diagonals to the corners, and we can keep all of that geometry in account. Alright, in the next lesson we'll do another one of our little examples. See you in the next lesson.